The first time Amanda couldn't breathe, she was 6 years old. It was supposed to be a celebration. Her dad had just closed a big deal at work, and her mom had made shrimp Alfredo, a dish Amanda had never seen before. The adults clinked glasses. Kate, her older sister, was showing off her spelling test. No one noticed Amanda pushing her food around the plate. "Eat it, sweetheart," her mother said with a tight smile. "You don't want to ruin the mood, do you?" Amanda looked down at the creamy shrimp twisting through the noodles like pale little worms. The smell made her gag. "I don't like it," she whispered. That whisper cost her everything. Her father, already on his second glass of wine, slammed his hand on the table. "You're doing this again, Amanda? Come on." Her mother didn't flinch. She simply leaned forward and stared, eyes cold, voice sharp. "This nonsense ends now. We're not raising a picky brat." That was the moment Amanda knew if she didn't eat, the night would be worse. So she took a bite. At first, the taste wasn't terrible, just buttery and rich. But within seconds, something inside her began to panic. Her tongue started to itch. Her throat felt wrong, like she had swallowed something sharp and it got stuck behind her voice. Her lips began to swell. Her eyes watered. She put her fork down and whispered again, "I don't feel good." Her mom rolled her eyes. "Oh, for God's sake, Amanda, stop it. You're being dramatic." Her father glared. Kate looked away. Amanda stood up, swaying. "I can't breathe." She thought that would be enough, that saying the words would make the room freeze, make someone care. But instead, "You always do this," her mom snapped. "You fake stomach aches, fake headaches. And now this. What's next, fake asthma? It's in your head," her father added. "Go to your room, and no dessert." Amanda stumbled away from the table, chest tight, vision blurry. No one followed. She spent the night curled up on her bedroom carpet, scratching at her swollen skin, crying so quietly it didn't reach the hallway. Amanda didn't die that night, but something inside her did, a sense of safety, a belief that her pain mattered. That night taught her that the truth, when inconvenient, becomes invisible. From then on, she kept quiet. She learned to smile through nausea, to nod while itching, to eat while gasping. And every time her body screamed, her mind whispered, "They won't believe you, so don't bother." She didn't know the word anaphylaxis. She just knew her body was the only one trying to save her, and the people she loved most were the ones calling it all a lie. Kate was everything Amanda wasn't, and everyone made sure she knew it. Straight A's, captain of the soccer team, honor roll every semester. She smiled brightly in family photos, always polished, always poised. When Kate walked into a room, adults nodded approvingly. "Look at her posture," Aunt Linda used to whisper. "Such a little lady." Amanda, on the other hand, she slouched. She tripped over shoelaces. She cried when she was itchy, when she couldn't breathe, when her food felt wrong. And for that, she was labeled difficult, unstable, overly emotional. "You could learn a thing or two from your sister," her dad would say. "Kate never complains about dinner." "Kate doesn't fake illnesses," her mother added. "Kate doesn't make scenes at restaurants." At school, Amanda was quiet. But at home, she became the unwelcome sound, the skipped track in a perfect album. Every time Amanda had a reaction, it wasn't seen as danger. It was drama. Every time her throat closed up or her skin broke out, the blame fell not on the food, but on her. "You're just jealous," her mom would say. "You don't get as much attention as Kate, so you act out." But jealousy had nothing to do with it. Amanda would have given anything to be invisible, to not have her every meal turn into a battlefield. What hurt most wasn't the symptoms, it was the smirks. Kate would watch from across the table, fork paused in midair. She saw the swelling, the red skin, the watery eyes. But she'd stay silent because in their house, backing Amanda meant betraying the narrative. And the narrative was this: Kate was the golden girl. Amanda was the girl who cried shrimp. It started with unopened lunchboxes. Every day, Amanda would come to the nurse's office with a stomachache or a headache. Never loud, never disruptive. She didn't cry. She just clutched her stomach and said she felt weird. Nurse Wilson had seen hundreds of kids fake being sick to skip class, but Amanda didn't want to leave school. She wanted to stay. What she wanted was safety. "Did you eat lunch today, Amanda?" the nurse would ask gently. Amanda always hesitated. "I wasn't hungry," she'd say, or "the cafeteria smelled weird." But her hands were trembling and her stomach was growling loud enough to be heard. It wasn't long before Nurse Wilson began noticing a pattern. Amanda never ate on seafood days. Shrimp, fish sticks, even crab salad. Those days, Amanda would drift into the nurse's office like a ghost, pale, quiet, itching the inside of her arms. And then she'd sit on the cot, barely breathing, eyes half closed. No teachers ever said anything. No school staff flagged concerns. It was like Amanda was hiding in plain sight. One Tuesday afternoon, the nurse was restocking bandages when Amanda walked in without a word, face flushed, hands shaking. "Rough lunch?" Nurse Wilson asked, already motioning her to sit. Amanda nodded slightly, then froze. She turned, mumbled something, and ran out of the room. Nurse Wilson waited, but Amanda didn't come back. She found her 20 minutes later, collapsed in the girl's bathroom stall, cheeks blotchy, lips slightly swollen, face wet with sweat. Amanda tried to stand, wobbled, then leaned back against the wall. "Please don't call my mom," she croaked. Those words pierced deeper than any diagnosis, because for the first time, Nurse Wilson realized this child wasn't scared of being sick. She was scared of being punished for being sick. From that moment on, Nurse Wilson began keeping notes, quiet ones, dates, symptoms, patterns, no assumptions, just observations. Because she knew what others didn't. Sometimes neglect doesn't come with bruises. Sometimes it comes with lunch trays full of poison and no one willing to believe the child begging not to eat. The plate hit the table like a gavel. "Eat it," her father said, "all of it, or you don't leave the table." Amanda stared at the pasta, creamy, rich, and heavy with shrimp. Too many shrimp. Her heart began to race before her fork even touched the food. I can't," she whispered. "You will," her mother snapped. "Enough with the drama, Amanda." Kate sat silently across from her, pushing peas around her plate. She didn't look up, but Amanda could feel her watching. The air at the table was thick, tense, like everyone was waiting for her to fail. Her father picked up his knife, cut into his steak, and spoke through clenched teeth. "You're not going to ruin another family dinner." Her mother folded her napkin neatly and added, "We're done playing these little games of yours." Amanda's hands trembled under the table, but she lifted the fork. Years of fear had taught her what happened when she didn't. She took the first bite. The shrimp was warm, too warm. It slid down her throat like fire wrapped in velvet. Her chest tightened almost immediately. She paused, swallowed hard. Maybe one bite, maybe that's all. But then came the itching, then the heat. Then the slow, creeping squeeze of her windpipe. "I don't feel good," she whispered again. "Of course you don't," her father scoffed. "Convenient." Her mother didn't flinch. "You're fine. Keep eating." Amanda looked to Kate. Her sister opened her mouth, then closed it again. "Kate," Amanda tried, but Kate looked away. "Eat," their father barked. Tears spilled down Amanda's cheeks as she stabbed at the pasta. Her throat burned, her lips tingled, her vision blurred. "I can't," she whispered, barely audible. "Amanda," her mother's voice was ablade, "eat or we're not getting up." So she did. Another bite, then another, each one a countdown. Tick, swallow, tick, breathe, can't. By the fourth bite, her body was screaming, but no one was listening. Amanda dropped her fork. The sound rang louder than thunder in her ears. Her chest heaved, trying to find air that wasn't there. I can't breathe. Her parents, still eating. Kate, frozen. No one moved. She stood, or tried to. The world tilted. Her knees buckled. She reached for the edge of the table and missed. Black. She was choking on fire. Not the kind that burns your tongue. The kind that blooms inside your throat. Hot, invisible, and terrifying. Amanda sat at the dinner table, chewing slowly, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. Each bite was a gamble. Maybe this next one won't make it worse. Maybe if I stay calm, they won't notice. But her body noticed. Her chest tightened like a vice. Her breath came in short, ragged gasps. Her hands trembled. Her skin crawled with heat. Her lips were going numb. She tried to drink water, but it felt like swallowing glass. "Don't you dare spit that out," her mother warned. Amanda forced it down. She blinked rapidly. She didn't want them to see the panic. Not because she wasn't scared, but because she was. Terrified. Not of dying, but of what her parents would say if she made a scene again. Her fork slipped, clattered to the floor. "For heaven's sake, Amanda," her father snapped, "get it together." She reached down to pick it up, vision doubling. The edges of the room were starting to blur. Her breath caught again. This time, it didn't return. She clutched her throat. Her chair scraped loudly as she stood, eyes wide with silent desperation. "I can't," she rasped. But her mother was already picking up dishes. "You've made your point," she muttered. "Go to your room if you're going to act like this." Act. As if this were a play, as if Amanda had written a script called Suffocating for Attention. She stumbled out of the dining room, one hand on the wall. Her heart was pounding like a drum inside her ears. She didn't go upstairs. She turned toward the hallway, toward the laundry room, toward her backpack, her phone. Fingers shaking, barely able to hold it, she typed blindly. To Nurse Wilson, can't breathe. Parents won't help. A beat passed, then another. Her screen dimmed, then ping. Nurse Wilson, sending help. Hold on, just hold on. Amanda dropped the phone to the floor. She couldn't hold anything anymore. She crawled toward the stairs, then collapsed halfway. Her lungs screamed for air that wouldn't come. Her body burned, skin boiling from the inside. But she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just whispered, "Please." Downstairs, the plates were clinking. The dishwasher beeped. No one noticed her crumpled body on the staircase. Then, from a distance, sirens. Not in the background, not imagined, real, slicing through the silence like a blade. Amanda smiled, barely, and blacked out. Her hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. Beneath the dinner table, her thumb hovered over the screen, slick with sweat, barely able to type. She wasn't even sure if she had time. Her throat was closing. Her chest was heavy. She couldn't stand. Couldn't scream. But she could do one thing. To Nurse Wilson, "Help! Can't breathe. They won't stop me." She hit send. The message whooshed away like a final whisper. Seconds passed. Then, ping. "Nurse Wilson, I'm calling 911. Stay where you are. I'm coming." Amanda wanted to reply, but her fingers had gone numb. The phone slipped from her lap. Her vision dimmed. She could hear voices, muffled, distorted, the clink of dishes, the hum of the dishwasher, and footsteps. But none toward her. She heard the sirens before she saw the lights. They came fast, loud, shattering. "What the hell is that?" her father said, annoyed. "Who called someone?" her mother snapped. The front door slammed open. Boots, radios, shouts. And then, "Who's Amanda?" a voice called out. "Where is she?" From the bottom of the stairs, she could barely lift her hand. Someone spotted her. "She's here. She's not breathing properly." Rushed movement. Someone kneeling beside her. Another hand pressing something against her leg. Sharp pain. Then cold. Then the voice of her mother, yelling, on the phone. I don't know who called an ambulance, but Amanda is fine. She's just seeking attention again. But Amanda wasn't fine. She was drifting, eyes half-lidded, the room spinning into white. The last thing she remembered wasn't the paramedics, wasn't the mask. It was her mother's voice, angry, dismissive, drowning out the sound of her own daughter's collapse. "She's just being dramatic." Then silence. The first thing Amanda saw when her eyes fluttered open was light, shark white buzzing. The second was a mask over her face, cold and plastic. The third was her chest rising and falling again. She could breathe. Not well, not easily, but she could. She blinked. The fluorescent light above her bed burned into her retinas. Her throat felt like it had been sandpapered raw. "She's awake," someone whispered. Then a shadow leaned over her. "Welcome back, Amanda." It was a man's voice, gentle, but with steel underneath. He wore a white coat. His badge read Dr. Martinez. "You had a severe anaphylactic reaction," he said slowly. "If the school nurse hadn't called for help when she did—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Amanda's fingers curled into the hospital sheets. She had almost died. Across the room, she saw them, her parents, standing near the window, silent, like strangers in someone else's life. Next to them was a woman in a business suit, notepad in hand, sharp eyes, stern mouth, Child Protective Services. Amanda blinked again. It didn't feel real. Her mother was speaking, too fast, too loud. "We had no idea," she insisted. "She's always been dramatic. This isn't— We never thought she was—" "You never thought she was actually dying," Nurse Wilson cut in. Amanda turned her head. There she was, Mrs. Wilson. "Fierce, steady, and furious. I've been documenting symptoms for months," the nurse continued. "Every time she came in with hives, the wheezing, the days she didn't eat, the swelling. I've called, emailed, I begged for her to be tested." Her father tried to interrupt. "We never received—" 17 documented attempts, Wilson snapped. "I brought the file." The CPS agent's pen moved quickly. Amanda looked at her parents. Their faces were shifting. From denial to confusion to panic. Then Dr. Martinez stepped in, voice calm but final. "Let me be clear," he said. "This is not Amanda's imagination." He held up her test results. Her blood work shows severe reactions to multiple allergens, shellfish, peanuts, and others. This isn't mental. This isn't emotional. This is life-threatening. He paused, letting the words land like bricks. Amanda almost died. For once, no one spoke over her. No one dismissed her. No one told her to stop being dramatic. She was in a room full of adults, and she was finally being heard. The room was quiet, too quiet. Dr. Martinez had just finished speaking, and the weight of his words hung heavy in the air like storm clouds. Amanda lay still, her heart beating fast beneath the hospital blankets. No one moved. Until— "She's not lying." A voice clear, shaking, but loud enough to silence everyone else. Kate, standing in the doorway. Still in her soccer uniform, socks mismatched, hair messy, eyes. "Amanda's not making this up," she said, stepping forward. Her mother turned stunned. "Catherine, go wait outside." "No." Kate's voice cut through the room like glass. "You've all been pretending for so long that you forgot how to listen." She pulled something out of her backpack. A notebook, then a plastic sandwich bag with a bottle inside, Benadryl. "I've been sneaking it into her room," she said. "Every time I heard her coughing through the wall. Because I knew you wouldn't buy it." The CPS agent stood. "You gave your sister medication?" she asked gently. Kate nodded. "With my allowance money. I looked it up. I tried to figure out how much was safe. I didn't want her to die." Her voice cracked, but she kept going. "I took pictures, too, of her arms, her face. I wrote down the days she got sick, when she didn't eat, when she almost passed out." She handed over a stack of papers. Photos printed on regular paper, some blurry, others painfully clear. Amanda with hives, puffy lips, eyes swollen shut. Dr. Martinez flipped through the pages in silence. So did the CPS agent. Their mother gasped, stepping forward. "Catherine, how could you?" "Because she's my sister," Kate snapped. "Because I could hear her choking at night and you were too busy pretending it wasn't real." Amanda blinked. Tears slipped from the corners of her eyes. For the first time, someone had stood between her and the storm, and that someone was Kate. Mrs. Wilson stepped forward, her eyes sharp and unwavering. 17, that's how many times I've reached out to you," she said, voice steady but filled with frustration. Calls, emails, voicemails, warnings about Amanda's symptoms, her anxiety, the missed days after family dinners. Her hands opened, a thick file, placing it firmly on the table. Here are the records. 17 documented attempts to get medical testing and care for your daughter, all ignored, all unanswered. Amanda's parents shifted uncomfortably, faces tightening. "We never received those," her father protested weakly. "You did," Mrs. Wilson snapped. "I have emails, phone logs, and detailed notes, all ignored." The room fell silent. The CPS agent leaned forward. "Let me be clear," she said, voice cold and firm. "This isn't just neglect. This is medical neglect." She paused. "Amanda will not be going home with you tonight." The words hit like a thunderclap. Amanda's mother gasped. Her father opened his mouth to argue, but the CPS agent raised a hand. "There will be no arguing, not until Amanda's safety can be assured." Amanda looked around the room. The faces of the people she called family were breaking apart. The truth was no longer hidden, and nothing would ever be the same again. Amanda stepped through the door of Aunt Claire's apartment and took a deep breath, a breath that didn't sting, a breath that wasn't stolen between panicked gasps. The air smelled like lavender and old books, not bleach and judgment. The kitchen was small but cozy, filled with mismatched furniture, colorful magnets on the fridge, and a pantry neatly labeled with stickers. "Green means safe," Aunt Claire said, smiling as she handed Amanda a bracelet. "Yellow means check first. Red, we don't touch." Amanda looked down at the silver band on her wrist, her new medical alert bracelet. It sparkled under the soft kitchen light, a quiet reminder that for the first time in years, she was safe. No shrimp on the menu, no suspicious looks, no whispered warnings. Just a place where her body's truth was respected. Her aunt wrapped an arm around her shoulder. "You're home now," she said gently. Amanda wanted to believe her, because here, no one told her she was faking. No one blamed her for being sick. No one expected her to pretend. For the first time, she could taste freedom. Outside the city hummed quietly. Inside, Amanda began to breathe not just with her lungs, but with her whole heart. Amanda walked into her new school with a backpack full of hope and an EpiPen clipped securely to her bag. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to hide. No secret panic attacks, no silent prayers before meals. Her teachers knew. The cafeteria staff knew. Even the principal had her 504 plan in hand, a legal document that made sure Amanda's allergies would be respected and protected. "You're safe here," Mrs. Wilson said, softly smiling, as she helped Amanda find her allergen-free lunch table. Amanda sat down, heart lighter than it had been in years. She looked around and saw other students with bracelets like hers, other kids with their own battles and badges of survival. She wasn't alone anymore. Days turned into weeks. Amanda learned to speak up without fear. She taught her classmates about food allergies. She explained why she couldn't share snacks. She showed them her medical alert bracelet, like a badge of honor. "It's not a weakness," she told them. "It's a part of who I am." And for the first time, her voice was heard without judgment. Her new school wasn't just a building, it was a sanctuary. Outside, the sun shone through classroom windows. Inside, Amanda blossomed not just as a student, but as a young advocate. Her journey from fear to freedom was just beginning. Amanda opened her journal for the first time in years. The pages were blank, inviting, waiting. She wrote slowly at first, words of fear, words of pain, but also words of hope. She learned about her body, how allergies worked, about histamines and anaphylaxis, about the EpiPen she now carried everywhere. She wasn't helpless anymore. Every word she wrote was a step toward reclaiming her story. One afternoon, Amanda sat in the park with her journal when Kate approached. Their eyes met. No words, just a long, shaky breath. Then Kate opened her arms, and for the first time in years, Amanda didn't hesitate. They hugged. No rivalry, no blame, just two sisters healing. That moment changed everything. Amanda realized her voice mattered, that speaking up wasn't just about survival, it was about living. And with Kate by her side, maybe the future wasn't so frightening after all. Amanda stood nervously at the front of the classroom, clutching her notes. Her heart hammered, but this time it wasn't fear. It was determination. She took a deep breath. Hi everyone, my name is Amanda, and I want to share something really important. She told them about her allergies, how she used to hide, how she almost died. She talked about the fear of being ignored, of being called dramatic. At first, the room was quiet, but then a hand raised. A student with bright eyes said, "I didn't know food allergies could be that serious." Another nodded, and then another. Soon, Amanda wasn't just speaking, she was being heard. That day, Amanda helped start a group, a place where students like her could meet, where they could share stories, ask questions, support each other, where being different wasn't a weakness, it was a reason to stand together. Word spread fast. More teens joined. Teachers helped. The school cafeteria even created allergen-free options. Amanda's voice grew stronger, and so did her confidence. Outside the school walls, Amanda was no longer invisible. She was a leader, a fighter, a beacon of hope for anyone feeling alone. The knock on the classroom door came just after school ended. Amanda was packing up her journal and a stack of flyers she'd made simple, honest, titled, "What You Didn't Know About Food Allergies." A woman in her late 30s stood there, eyes tired but hopeful, clutching a crumpled school notice. "Amanda," she asked quietly, "my son was just diagnosed with a peanut allergy. I don't know what to do. They told us avoid peanuts and sent us home with a sheet of paper. He's scared. I'm terrified." Amanda motioned her inside, sat across from her at the little round table the group always used, and opened her own journal. "First," Amanda said, "you're not alone. I remember that feeling, the fear, the questions, the silence after you say the word allergy." The mother's shoulders loosened just a fraction. "What do I tell him?" she whispered. "How do I keep him safe without making him feel broken?" Amanda pulled out a laminated card she'd created for the support group, Amanda's starter guide to surviving and thriving with allergies. She walked the woman through it. Label reading how may contain is not a joke, why cross-contact can hide in crumbs on a shared counter, and how to talk to teachers so they really understand the risk, not just nod politely. She explained an emergency action plan, carry the EpiPen in a consistent place, practice the injection on a dummy device, and rehearse what-if scenarios aloud so everyone in the child's life knows the script. She taught the mother the simple phrase, "If there's any doubt, don't eat it." And then came the hardest part, giving the child a voice. "Let him help," Amanda said. "Let him carry his own little kit. Let him tell his friends. Kids listen to other kids. When he says, 'I have a peanut allergy,' he's not weak. He's informed. He's protecting himself." The mother's eyes filled. "He's already ashamed," she confessed. "He thinks he's the reason we can't have cookies at parties. He thinks he's different in the wrong way." Amanda leaned forward. "Different isn't broken. Different is a power if you understand it. Tell him your story. Tell him I almost didn't get to tell mine because nobody believed me. Then teach him to be the one who listens to others. Word spread from that conversation. The little boy started coming to the group with his mom. He wore a tiny badge Amanda made, Allergy Ally. He practiced with Amanda how to politely tell a classmate, I can't share that snack, my body reacts badly, but I can bring something safe and we can trade later. The scene cut between the mother's relieved smile and the boy's shy, proud stance. Amanda watched them. She felt the echo of her old fear soften, now replaced by something stronger, purpose. The therapy room smelled like coffee and second chances. Amanda sat near the front, the support group's circle of chairs filled with familiar faces, some with their own scars, some with notebooks, and a few holding hands tightly. Kate was beside her silent solidarity in the squeeze of her sister's knee. Her parents walked in together. Their steps were tentative, shoulders tight. They carried silence like armor until they sat. The therapist, a calm woman named Dr. Reynolds, started gently. We're not here to assign blame, she said. We're here to understand what happened and how to move forward in a way that keeps Amanda safe and seen. Amanda's mother began, voice clipped at first. I thought she was making it up. I thought it was attention-seeking. I didn't want people to think our family was broken. We were so focused on how we looked that we stopped hearing her. Her father stared at the floor. Then he lifted his head, eyes avoiding Amanda for a moment, then landing on her like a sudden painful truth. I chose image over my daughter, he said, the words coming out as if each one cost him something. I was so afraid of people whispering that we were a messy family that I ignored her gasps. I heard her and I told myself it was drama. He stopped. The dam broke. Tears spilled. I thought protecting our reputation was protecting her. I was wrong. Silence spread across the room, thick and trembling. Amanda's mother's eyes filled, not with anger this time, but with guilt that had weight. I'm learning, she whispered. I've started reading. I've signed up for the parenting classes you recommended. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. I want to earn it. I want to know how to actually help her. I didn't know. I should have known. Dr. Reynolds nodded, then turned to Amanda. What do you need from them now? She asked, not to pressure, but to give Amanda the choice. Amanda looked at her father. His face was red raw, no defenses left. She looked at her mother, shaking, but present. She looked at Kate, who gave her a small, reassuring nod. She inhaled. Then she said quietly, start with listening. Don't try to fix me before you hear me. And learn what it means to respond when I'm scared, not what looks good for the outside world. Her father nodded, choking on a breath. I'll sit in every class. I'll read. I'll ask the stupid questions. I'll show up. I don't want to be the reason she's afraid to speak again. We'll learn from scratch, her mother added. We'll learn the language she needed us to know years ago. The room exhaled a small release of tension, not healed, but shifted. Amanda steps up to the microphone. The auditorium is full. Parents, teachers, students, school staff, and a few familiar faces in the front row. She takes a breath, not because she needs it to speak, but because she's claiming the space her body was denied for so long. Good morning. My name is Amanda. 16 months ago, I almost didn't get to stand here. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you the truth that someone finally chose to hear. When I was a kid, my body would scream no, and the people I loved the most told me I was making it up. They called it drama. They called it attention-seeking. They told me to sit down, finish my plate, and stop being difficult. One night at a family dinner, I stopped breathing. I sent a message from under the table. Help. Can't breathe. They won't stop me. The last thing I heard before everything went black was my mother on the phone arguing that I was fine, that I was just being dramatic. I woke up in a hospital bed. A doctor told my parents a sentence that should have been obvious from day one. This is not imagination. This is life-threatening. Your daughter almost died. And then a different kind of truth came. My sister Kate stepped forward. She handed over the notebooks, the photos, the secret doses of medicine she bought with her allowance because she couldn't stand hearing me gasp through the wall and watching the people who were supposed to protect me pretend it wasn't real. My school nurse didn't give up. 17 times she tried to get help for me. 17 times she was ignored. But that 17th time she called and she stayed because someone listened. Because someone believed me, I found a voice. So today, I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about every kid whose symptoms were whispered away. Every parent who was told, she's just making it up. Every teacher who saw a student disappear after lunch and didn't ask why. Here's what I want you to know. Allergies aren't a choice. They're not a performance. They are a biological emergency waiting to happen if ignored. And the difference between a kid who survives and a kid who doesn't is often who's willing to listen before it's too late. If you're a parent in this room, don't let your child's quiet plea get lost behind your fear of looking imperfect. If you're a teacher, take the time to learn the story behind the lunchbox that gets pushed away. If you work in a school, build systems that don't shame illness, they protect lives. I wear this bracelet every day. It used to feel like a label. Now it's my loudest statement. I exist. I matter. I'm not invisible. She glances to the front row there, her parents sit. Not perfect, still learning. Kate gives a small nod. Aunt Claire's camera is filming, but Amanda's eyes are on the room. We are not broken because we have allergies. We are broken when we are silenced. And healing starts when someone chooses to hear the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So I ask you, let your voices be the ones that stop saying, she's just dramatic, and start saying, tell me more. How can I help? Because safety isn't a rule on a paper. It's a culture of listening. It's a family that learns. It's a school that acts. Thank you for giving me your ears. Now, give the next kid your belief. Applause swells. Amanda steps back, breathes, and for the first time in a long time, feels seen, not just as someone who survived, but as someone who can change what comes after. The conference room had quieted after Amanda's speech, but the ripple was still moving. A small girl lingered near the back, 10 years old, clutching her lunchbox like it was armor. Her eyes darted away when anyone looked at her. When someone asked if she wanted to join the allergy group, she shook her head slightly, then whispered, I don't want to be a problem. Amanda spotted her. After the applause faded, she walked through the crowd, knelt down so their faces were level, and held out her wrist. The silver medical alert bracelet caught the light. This bracelet saved my life, Amanda said, soft but firm, and so will your voice. The girl's fingers twitched around the strap of her box, uncertain. What if they think I'm lying? She asked, voice barely audible. Amanda smiled, not the polished smile of someone performing, but the one that had grown from scars and truth. They might, she admitted. But you know what? I spent years hiding because I was afraid. That scared kid almost didn't get to speak today. Your voice is how you protect yourself. Let me show you how to start. She reached into her bag and pulled out 2 small laminated cards, one with a simple script. Hi, I have a peanut allergy. Please don't share your snack with me. I brought something safe. We can trade. And another with an emergency phrase. If I start to feel weird, tell an adult right away. The girl unfolded the first, tracing the words. Amanda gently placed a hand over hers. Say it with me, Amanda whispered. You're not a problem. You're the one teaching others how to be safer. They practiced twice. Then the girl nodded. Later, the girl stood up in front of a small circle, her voice shaky at first, then stronger. I have an allergy. It's real. I'm okay asking for help. Amanda stayed just behind her shoulder, quiet support. When the girl sat back down, she held Amanda's gaze. There was something like relief and a tiny spark of pride. Amanda felt it too. That moment wasn't about her survival anymore. It was about starting someone else's. The room erupted, not in noise at first, but in a shift, a tremor of recognition, of connection. Amanda stepped back from the microphone. Her speech was ending, but the moment wasn't over. She turned, eyes scanning the front row. There they were. Aunt Claire, camera forgotten in her lap, cheeks wet with quiet tears. Kate, gripping Amanda's hand under the seat, face soft and unguarded. Her parents no longer stiff, no longer defensive, sitting side by side, shoulders lowered, eyes tracking every word. The crowd stood. It started with a few, then everyone. Teachers, students, parents, the little girl Amanda had helped. They rose, not just to applaud. They rose because they understood. They rose because the silence that had swallowed Amanda for years was finally breaking. Amanda felt the weight of those eyes, not the judging eyes of her past, but the ones that were really seeing. She looked down briefly, then back up. The microphone was heavy in her hand, but her voice was steady. I used to feel invisible, but today I see all of you, and more importantly, you see me. The room exhaled. Somewhere in the middle, her father's lip trembled. Her mother's fingers curled around each other, searching for footing in new ground. Kate released her grip just enough to wipe her own eyes. Aunt Claire's smile was fierce, proud, and protective all at once. The applause started slowly, then swelled raw, unfiltered, the kind that doesn't just praise, but affirms. Amanda didn't turn away. She held the moment. She added softer, almost to herself, and to everyone who'd ever been made small, being seen, that's the difference between surviving and living. The standing ovation continued as she stepped down. This time, when she breathed in, it wasn't to survive, it was to belong. The apartment smelled like garlic and fresh herbs, not the sterile, tense air of a kitchen where every bite had once felt like a test. Aunt Claire stood at the counter with Amanda beside her. They had taken everything out of the pantry: jars, packets, spice tins. Each one had a brightly colored sticker next to it: green, yellow, red. Green means go, Aunt Claire said, tapping a jar of plain rice. Yellow means slow down. Read it with me. Red means we don't even open it unless we talk about it first. Amanda traced the stickers with her finger, then looked up at her aunt. "Can I help?" she asked. "You already are," Claire replied. "You're doing the part most people never get, choosing safety over silence." They were making a simple dinner: grilled chicken with lemon and a side of roasted vegetables, all drizzled with a safe herb mix Amanda had helped label. Claire handed Amanda a small pad and marker. "Write the recipe down," she said, "not just because you'll want to remember it, but because knowing the steps means you can trust yourself to make it no matter where you are." Amanda wrote grilled chicken, no soy, lemon zest, olive oil, rosemary, steamed carrots, green quinoa. The medical alert bracelet on her wrist caught the under-cabinet light and flashed a tiny, steady gleam. She turned her wrist as if the bracelet were a compass pointing towards something that had been lost and was now found. "You know," Aunt Claire murmured, sprinkling the herb mix, "we used to have a system like this in my old studio, but with color-coded paint. People didn't know what it meant. This one actually saves lives." Amanda laughed, a sound that was softer than it used to be. She stirred the chicken gently, her hands careful but sure. "I never knew cooking could feel like armor," she said. Claire paused and looked at her. "It's not armor, it's a promise. A promise that the food you eat won't fight you back, that the person next to you sees you, that you don't have to explain the panic anymore. Just point to the label and breathe." Amanda set down the spoon. "Do you ever think about going back?" Claire asked quietly, not prying, just offering space. Amanda hesitated, then shook her head slowly. "Not yet," she said. "But I know I can. That's the difference." They plated the food, placing a small green sticker on Amanda's bowl, then sat at the tiny kitchen table. Claire poured them both sparkling water with a twist of lemon. "To the first safe night," Amanda said, lifting her glass. And many more, Claire answered, clinking hers gently against Amanda's. Amanda took a bite. It tasted like normal. It tasted like choosing herself. She looked up at Claire. I used to think safety was silence, she admitted. Now I know it's being heard before I even speak. Claire reached across and squeezed her hand. And you're never doing it alone again. The dishes were done. The apartment was quiet in that after way, like the moment just after a storm when the air feels different, held. Aunt Claire sat across from Amanda at the small kitchen table, a half-finished crossword between them. Kate had left earlier with a promise to come back the next day. The light from the street lamps filtered through thin curtains, painting soft lines across the wooden surface. Do you ever think about going back? Claire asked, not looking up from the puzzle. To them, to your old room, to the routine. Amanda stared at her reflection in the dark window for a beat before answering. She traced the faint scar on her wrist from where the hospital wristband had pressed too tight months ago. I want to, she said slowly. I want to believe the house can be a home again, but I don't know if I can trust that it won't swallow me whole. Not yet. Claire set the pencil down, turned to face her niece fully. You don't have to decide today, she said. You don't even have to move back someday if it's not safe. But what I'm asking is, do you feel like whatever comes next is possible? Amanda smiled, small and unsure. I'm not ready to live there, she admitted, but I'm not carrying the hate I used to. I forgive them. That doesn't mean I forget. I've heard apologies. I've seen them show up. I've seen them learn. And I want to believe in that. Carefully. Claire nodded. Forgiveness is the first step. Trust is the one you build after. You get to write the rules. You get to say when and how. They've broken things. It's okay to keep the bandages on until you know the scar isn't going to reopen. Amanda relaxed a fraction. Kate says she'll keep checking in with them, make sure they're doing their sessions, that they actually ask the questions, not just nod like they used to. She's on my side. That helps. Claire reached over and took Amanda's hand. Then maybe the next visit is supervised. Maybe it's a Sunday lunch with you nearby, not inside their house. You choose the pace. They follow. You don't owe them a timeline. Amanda looked toward the door as if expecting her parents to appear, but the apartment remained quiet, safe in its own silence. I want them to know one thing, she said, that being willing to change is not a permission slip to be taken back into the same world. I need proof, not performance. Claire squeezed her hand. You'll get to decide what proof looks like. Amanda let the word home sit on her tongue like something tender and fragile. One day, she whispered, maybe. But for now, I like it here. I'm learning how to breathe without waiting for the next collapse. That's enough. Claire lifted her cup. To safety that doesn't pretend to be easy. Amanda clinked her cup with hers. To choosing myself, she replied. They sat in soft silence, then 2 generations stitched together by care, and Amanda holding the space between what was broken and what might become whole. The apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that held space, not the tense silence of before, but the soft hum of life that had room to breathe. Amanda sat at the little kitchen table, journal open, the page catching the light. Her handwriting was different now. Less cramped, more deliberate. She lifted the pen, paused, then wrote slowly, so the words felt like a promise. Anaphylaxis didn't break me. Silence almost did. But now I'm louder than fear. She read it back to herself once. Then again, she added a line below, smaller, almost a whisper. I'm learning how to let the world see me without shrinking. She closed the journal, gently placing her palm over the cover like it was part of her armor and her map. From the counter, Claire's footsteps approached soft. She set down 2 mugs of tea, the steam curling between them. That's damn good, Claire said, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. You didn't just survive. You rewrote the part where they tried to silence you. Amanda lifted her bracelet, the silver edge catching the under-cabinet light. It flashed, quiet, steady. Not a label anymore, not a warning, a signal. "It reminds me," she said, "that I matter, that every breath I take is my own, that I'm seen." Claire nodded. "And now," she added, "you get to spend the rest of your life making sure the next kid doesn't have to fight that alone." Amanda leaned back, looking up at the ceiling where the faint cracks had once been a reminder of fragility. Now they looked like lines in a map, routes she had crossed, survived, marked. She stood, walked to the small kitchen window. Outside, the streetlights shimmered. Inside, the bracelet on her wrist reflected tiny stars across the counter. She whispered, not for anyone but herself, "I used to disappear in rooms full of people. Now I choose to be loud in the places that matter." She lifted her wrist, letting the light pool on the metal. The camera of her mind lingered there, the bracelet glowing a quiet beacon of testimony. It wasn't just about surviving the worst. It was about being recognized after years of being doubted, about finally having a seat at the table, not as the problem child, but as a storyteller, a guardian, a voice. As the tea cooled between them, Amanda opened the journal one last time, tucked the page in like a letter to the future, and slid it onto the shelf where Kate had once left a sticky note reading, "I've got your back." The shot lingers, the kitchen light catching the medical alert bracelet, the silver band catching tiny glints, a constellation in miniature. She turns, smiles at Claire, a soft, real smile, and the frame holds on that bracelet a beat longer. The final voiceover, gentle but firm. "I was almost made invisible. Now my story lights up the room. Safety isn't silence anymore. It's saying it out loud. And I'm here to keep saying it." Fade out on the bracelet, still glowing, still there. Lesson: seeing, believing, and speaking up can save lives. Too often, the most dangerous wounds are the invisible ones, pain dismissed as drama, fear ignored for the sake of image, silence mistaken for strength. Amanda's story teaches that listen before you judge. When someone quietly shows signs of struggle, don't default to skepticism. Ask, validate, and take their voice seriously. Speak up for yourself and others. If you feel unseen or unsafe, finding your voice isn't arrogance, it's survival. If you notice someone else being minimized, use yours to amplify theirs. Educate to empower. Understanding a condition like allergies turns fear into actionable care. Learn the facts, share them compassionately, help build systems that protect instead of shame, set boundaries and demand accountability. Forgiveness doesn't mean erasing harm. It means choosing healing on your own terms while holding people to real change, not performance. Safety is a culture, not a checkbox. It's built by consistent listening, learning, and showing up even when it's uncomfortable. Carry that lesson into your daily life. Notice the quiet no. Don't let someone's pain be edited out for the sake of appearances. And be the person who asks, "Are you okay?" before assuming you know the answer. If Amanda's story moved you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to Through Her Eyes. Hit the bell so you never miss a voice that needs to be heard. Share this video with someone who needs to know they're not invisible, and drop a comment below who's the person you'll listen to differently after today. Join our community. Together, we turn silence into safety. See you in the next story. Optional short version: subscribe to Through Her Eyes for more real stories that matter. Share this one. Listen louder. You might just save a life.